Hi guys, and welcome to the Lincoln vs Sunderland match review. Now, I am fully aware that I'm incredibly late to this. I did say on Instagram on Friday that I'm going to take the weekend off doing YouTube videos because I was busy. But then Sunderland just have to go and play like Barcelona, don't they, on the Saturday? So, I know I'm late, but I had to make a match review on it. I know you've probably seen other match reviews by now, the likes of Michael Bowers, the Mad Mistake, Gilesy, etc. All very good, YouTubes of course, but I thought I'd have to say my piece as well because what a game it was. Although I was busy over the weekend, of course, I did manage to watch the game, and 4-0 away from home against second in the league Lincoln. It's just typical, isn't it? The one weekend I say I'm not going to make any videos. But yeah, so we won by 4-0. But before we do go into that, I'm going to quickly briefly mention the Oldham game earlier on in the week in the stuffed crust competition. So we beat Oldham by 2-1, and in my honest opinion, I think we were just as bad as ever in that game. And I did see a few people say, yeah, we did get the win. It wasn't great, but we can see the sort of imprint that Lee Johnson has had on the side, should I say. And I personally think we looked just as bad as ever. I couldn't see any improvement at all in that Oldham game. So going into this game against Lincoln, which is why I mentioned the Oldham game, I had very, very little confidence. Not that I didn't have any confidence in Lee Johnson or that he's not going to have an imprint on the side. I just thought that I think we were giving a bit too much credit for that Oldham result, which, I think it was just a case of we had a little bit more quality than Oldham on the night. But Oldham, in the end, for me, I think they could have easily walked away from that game with a win. But we were very, very poor. So that's why I mention it, because then we go into this game against Lincoln away from home, mind you, a team that don't concede too often. And we come away with a 4-0 win, and it was an absolutely phenomenal performance. And some of those players look transformed already. Now, I'm not going to try and get ahead of myself. It could just be a case of, the new manager effect early doors, and then it goes back to being shit. Hopefully not. But, yeah, it was an incredible performance. So we'll get into it. So, in goal, we had Lee Burge. We had a back four again, which seems to be working. We had McFadden on the left-hand side. We had Conor McLaughlin on the right. In the middle, we had Flanagan and Bailey Wright. Now, pushing into midfield, we had Ledbetter sitting in front of the back line with Scowen and Power a little bit further forward. On the right-hand side, we had Jack Diamond making his first league start for the club. On the left, Aidan McGeady. Now, up top, we had Charlie Wyke. So, getting into the game, and you could see from the off, the tempo that we'd set and the tempo they'd set, in all fairness to them, it made it an incredibly open game. But we looked so dangerous going forward, as did they. But we seemed to really put our foot on the game and put our stamp on the game very, very early, keeping control of the ball. It weren't just worthless, hopeful balls into the box. We were really trying to work it into the box, which I appreciated. And we weren't only relying on the wings, which is something that I've said for so many weeks now. So I'm glad that I don't need to repeat myself throughout this match review. But, if the cross wasn't on, we'd work it inside and shift it towards the centre. And that's where our first chance came to play, where it did eventually fall back to Power on the edge of the box. He's drilled it hard and low, it's gone straight to the keeper. But the keeper's done one hoof up top and it's completely dismantled our defence. They're one-on-one with the keeper, takes it round Lee Burge. He does force him to take it out wide, so fair play to Burge. And he's pretty much got an open goal gaping from a marginally tight angle, and he's hit it into the side netting, thank God. But we did have another one as well, where all it took was a hoof up top to completely dismantle the defence. But this time the Lincoln strikers managed to drag it just wide. Again, it was very good positioning. I can't talk this morning, it's very early, please excuse me. It was really good positioning by Lee Burge, which forced him to drag it wide. So again, good goalkeeping. But, if we had to focus on any kind of negative out of the day, it was just that. We could have easily been 2-0 down very early on, and because it was worrying to see that, all it took was a couple of hoofs from Lincoln, and our defence was in no man's land, and they're one-on-one with the keeper. So that was a really, really worrying start for me. But Jack Diamond, anyway, eventually picks a ball up on the right-hand side. It looked like it was going to be one of those where, he's doing 1-2s with someone out wide. I think it was Conor McLaughlin. And I was just waiting for the ball to just be pumped aimlessly into the box. But no, Diamond, he grabs hold of it. He drives inside. He's committing players, which is something we've been screaming out for. He's committing players, takes on one, takes on two, and then eventually sort of sandwiched and taken down. 100% a penalty. If some others say it's controversial, for me it's a stonewaller. But Ledbetter, of course, steps up. He places it into the bottom right-hand corner and sends the keeper the wrong way. We're a goal up. relatively fortunately, in the sense that they'd been on, one-on-one with the keeper a couple of times already due to those hoofs. But we did go a goal up, and then that's when we really just started to control the game, and we just looked so dangerous, and we're unlike we've seen all season, pretty much, in my opinion. Whenever we were going out wide, we'd only really cross the ball in if there was visibly bodies in there. Sometimes the crosses weren't of great quality, of course, but they were the right times to cross the ball, and if those options weren't on, we were cutting inside, we were working the ball well to the centre, and then we were making chances from there. But we eventually did make it 2. Charlie White, ball was lofted across the box. It really nicely worked. It was nodded down by McFadden towards Charlie White, who just pokes it home to make it 2-0. Now the third one, this is my favourite goal of the day, not only because it was Jack Diamond, the young lad, his first league start, and because it was a great goal in itself, but the reason it gave me so much pleasure is because the confidence it's shown in the lad. Because McGeady, the way we recycled this possession was awesome, by the way, just saying, because we seemed to have our backs against the wall just for a short period in our half, and all it took was White to come deep, laid it off to McGeady, bang, he's gone. McGeady's took it all the way, pretty much the length of the pitch. He's laid it off to Diamond on the right-hand side of the box, and his first touch seemed to slow him down loads, and I feel like a few weeks ago, if this was the case, that would have been a position where he may have waited for someone else to come and try and pass the ball, or maybe a little dink across goal, just hopefully someone will get there. But he shifted it onto his left foot, and it seems to go in slow motion, and then he just dinked it perfectly and bent it into that top left-hand corner, and I was absolutely buzzing for lad, and for me, because I was happy. But yeah, it just shows the confidence that's been instilled in the lad. Lee Johnson is known for his man management, and he's obviously taken a liking to Jack, and rightly so. So we go into the break 3-0 up, and absolutely unheard of, particularly away from home against a team like Lincoln, who, again, as I mentioned earlier, they don't concede too many goals. Now at half time, Jack Diamond did come off because he was booked, and apparently the ref had literally told him, one more foul like that and you're off. So it was the right thing to do. We're 3-0 up. So we brought Maguire on, who was instrumental as well when he did come on. And we just kept going. Don't get me wrong, the tempo had dropped considerably, or at least a bit, from the first half, and that's something you'd expect. But it weren't as if we just completely, took our foot off the gas. We're still gaining and maintaining control of the game. We didn't really allow Lincoln in, although we did have 1 or 2 saves needed by Burge. But we were still peppering their goal as well. If you look at the stats after the game, I think we had 12 shots and 9 on target, which again is something else that is absolutely unheard of. Because, even against Wigan, when we lost 1-0, we had, 23 shots, and I think there was 1 on target, something like that, which is terrible. It just shows that we're actually working them into the proper areas, and the lads have had this confidence instilled in them to take these shots and make these efforts and make the keeper work. And eventually it did pay off. Charlie White got another one who was great. Maguire worked it down the right-hand side really well, taking on his man, pulls it back for Charlie, and he just smashed it into the roof of the net to make it 4-0. So I'll leave it at that in terms of the match, because there's just so many things I could talk about. But 4-0 is an absolutely outstanding result, and hopefully it's the start of something now, because we do have 3 very, very winnable games coming up, with no disrespect to the teams who are playing. But, we have Wimbledon next, who've conceded 9 in the last 2 games, so you'd like to think we have a good chance of giving them a rollicking as well. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I think one of the main things that does please me from that result was the high press and how intelligently it was used. Because when people think of the high press, they just think of it sort of permanently getting in the opposition's faces. But we didn't do that. We use the high press in very specific situations, because if you do use the high press and hold a high press for so long, after half an hour, you're going to blow a gasket. And if you haven't got yourself in the lead by that point, then you're screwed, because then you just may as well bend over for the rest of the game because you're knackered. But we're only using it in very specific situations. If they had it just about in our half, we wouldn't completely crowd them out. We would sort of not stand off, but it'd be a one-on-one sort of scenario defensively. But we marshalled that team brilliantly. But if Lincoln was sort of holding it on at the back for too long, then you'd literally have 3 people just forming a triangle, or 3 of our players forming a triangle and really high pressing, squeezing and throttling that Lincoln back line and force them into a hoof out of play for a throw-in or a mistake. And we're using it so cleverly and intelligently. And that's something I hadn't seen this season at all. So we had that high press in our arsenal throughout the entire game because it weren't just an aimless press of just constantly chase after them the entire time they've got the ball. It was really intelligently used. So that was something as well I definitely took note of. So 4-0, a brilliant result, an excellent performance, and fair play to Lee Johnson to get that out with that bunch of lads. Very fair play to him. It's a very good start. He speaks very well as well, Lee Johnson. But we've had it before where managers come in, they speak well. We like the sound of him, but it's not replicating what's going on the pitch. But on Saturday it did. So next up we do take on Wimbledon at the Stadium Light, followed by an away game against Shrewsbury, and then Blackpool at the Stadium Light as well. So those 3 games could be absolutely key because on Boxing Day we take on Hull City, who, for me, of course, have been absolutely great this season. Top of the league for a reason. But when we did play them in that League Cup first round game just before the league season started, I thought they were terrible. I know we ended up losing on pens, but they were absolutely terrible. We dominated and battered that game, and that was even with Parky in charge. So that's saying something. Of course, they're going to improve and get used to the surroundings in terms of League One as the season goes on, and they've clearly been doing that very well. But if they're anything like the level they were then I'm very confident for that game. Hull got a very easy start to the season, in my opinion, in the teams that they played, and that gave them the opportunity to create a really good foundation. And don't get me wrong, you can only beat what's in front of you, but they really haven't impressed me in large parts, but they've still been able to not impress me, yet pick up result after result. So we need to be on our A game on Boxing Day, but we need to take the first step, which was Saturday, of getting that big win, getting that confidence booster, and taking advantage of that confidence booster, because Wimbledon, Shrewsbury and Blackpool are all very winnable games, and we're currently 8th in the league on 27 points. We pick up 9 points there, and everything changes, going into a game against Hull. I'm not saying, we have a God-given right to win those games, of course not. We have to play them, we need to tactically be better than them, it's a challenge regardless. But yeah, 9 points in the next 3 games will be ideal, and if we play anywhere near the level we did against Lincoln, I'm very confident of getting those 9 points. And the league table will look a hell of a lot different before that game against Hull, which could end up being huge. But that'll be it, guys. My man of the match for me, he only played 45 minutes, but Jack Diamond, because he was just constantly getting at them, asking questions of them, which is something I've asked for so long now. The amount of times I'm saying, we keep holding onto the ball and then sideways passes. Not Jack, on Saturday. I keep saying yesterday because I'm so late at making this review. I am sorry for that. But every time he got the ball, he was just driving inside, cutting inside when he had to anywhere, or when the opportunity did arise, he would do, and he was constantly asking questions of him, and his goal was just a thing of beauty as well. But that's my match review, so you guys let me know in the comments down below what you thought of the game, who was your man of the match as well, and please leave a like if you have enjoyed, and subscribe to the channel if you're not already, to become a fully fledged member of the Sarny Army. But for now, you take care and stay jamming.